In the charming, gossip-filled town of Willowbrook, appearances meant everything until Clara Harper arrived. With her thrift store outfits, off-key humming, and carefree spirit, she was an enigma the townsfolk couldn't resist mocking. Little did they know that behind her eccentric facade lay a mind that had reshaped science itself. When the truth about Clara's extraordinary identity was revealed, the laughter turned to awe, judgment gave way to admiration, and a town that once scorned difference learned to celebrate it. This is the story of how one woman's quiet confidence and hidden brilliance transformed not only her own life, but an entire community. Proving that greatness often hides in the most unexpected places, a location like Willowbrook, a little town, was the type of place where everyone knew everything that was going on in the lives of others. There was a web of gossip, judgment, and petty rivalries that lay behind the attractive appearance of the town, which was a delightful town that was located between rolling hills and a sparkling river. In addition, Daniel Harper, a peaceful and modest guy, who had only recently relocated to the area with his wife Clara, was at the heart of all that was going on. In a different way, Clara was, at first glance, she did not seem to be the usual wife from Willowbrook. There were other ladies in town who took great pleasure in their flawlessly styled hair, luxury purses, and well-manicured social media accounts. Clara, on the other hand, was a breath of fresh air and mayhem. The outfits she wore were from charity stores and had designs that did not match. Her hair was often pulled up into a sloppy bun, and she had a tendency of humming melodies that were off-key when she was strolling down the street. She was unconcerned with the social structure of the town, or the tacit norms that were associated with fitting in. Because of this, the people in the town laughed at her. Virtually instantly, the rumors began to be heard. The ladies would congregate in the neighborhood coffee shop. They would snigger over Clara's eccentric conduct while enjoying lattes and pastries. "When you went to the grocery store the day before, did you see her?" A lady laughed out loud as she said she was talking to the produce. "Aside from that, have you ever observed that she never puts on makeup?" Another person chimed in and said, "She is so ... unremarkable." When Daniel was married to such a weird lady, even the guys would laugh behind his back, feeling sorry for him because of his circumstance. Daniel, on the other hand, refused to waver. Clara was the object of his adoration. She stood out to him as the most intriguing individual he had ever encountered. She had a perspective on the world that was completely unique to her. It was a combination of inquisitiveness, inventiveness, and faith that could not be shaken. On the other hand, even he was unable to ignore the mounting tension in the community. As time went on, the level of the laughing increased, the gazes became more pointed, and the remarks became more cutting. In the course of one evening, as Daniel and Clara were sitting on their veranda watching the sunset, he eventually brought up the matter. "Do you ever find yourself?" The question was addressed in a soft voice. "I don't know. Do you feel like people here don't understand you?" With a grin on her face, Clara's eyes sparkled with a wicked gleam. "Oh, Daniel, there is no need for them to comprehend, I am saying. The only thing they need to do is get out of my way." Daniel wore a frown. "On the other hand, do you not care what others think? They are always chuckling and speaking to one another." Clara sat back in her chair and kept her attention locked on the horizon while she did so. "Daniel, you should let them laugh. Laughter is nothing more than background noise. And the noise dwindles." The community had no idea that Clara's self-assurance was not just the consequence of a carefree attitude. Rather, it was the product of a lifetime of exceptional events that she had collected. Clara was in possession of a secret, which she had chosen to conceal even from Daniel. As a woman, she was more than simply a peculiar individual with a peculiar sense of style. Astrophysicist and one of the most influential thinkers in the area of quantum mechanics, she was known as Dr. Clara Harper. She was a distinguished figure in the field. The breakthrough study that she had conducted had completely altered the manner in which scientists understood the universe. As a result of her work, she had received compliments, honors, and the respect of her contemporaries. In spite of this, Clara had been exhausted by the strain and the expectations that came with living in the limelight for a number of years. She had decided to start a new life in Willowbrook, where she would be able to live a simple life and concentrate on the things that were genuinely important to her. She had left everything behind. Clara's true identity was revealed in the most unanticipated manner over the course of the investigation. In some point in time, the town was informed that a well-known scientist would be coming to Willowbrook in order to deliver a talk in the community center that is located there. The community went into a frenzy as a result of the news. The bright intellect that had made headlines all over the globe was eagerly anticipated by everyone, and everyone was humming with excitement and anticipation of seeing him. As the day of the talk came, the community center was completely full with people who were eager to attend. The residents of the village sat in silent expectancy, their gazes riveted on the stage before them. After that, to their complete and total surprise, Clara Harper left the room. There was complete silence in the room. The ladies who had made fun of her, as well as the men who had shown compassion for Daniel, were all there, sitting still in their chairs, with their mouths hanging wide in shock. When Clara stood tall and confident, she was wearing one of her distinctive outfits that she had purchased from a thrift shop. Her eyes were searching the audience with a knowing grin. She started by saying, "Good evening, Willowbrook," in a voice that was calm and unmistakable. "It is my understanding that many of you have been curious about me. That exactly is this peculiar lady that does things like hum in public and speak to vegetables. To tell you the truth, I'm going to be here tonight." During the subsequent hour, Clara delivered a presentation that was not only illuminating, but also motivational, and she managed to hold the audience's attention. The wonders of the cosmos, the allure of inquiry, and the significance of accepting one's uniqueness were some of the topics that she spoke. By the time she had completed her speech, the audience had burst into applause, not just for her brilliant performance, but also for her bravery and genuineness. Following the dispersal of the throng, the citizens of the town approached Clara one by one, their expressions displaying a mixture of astonishment and grief. It was a lady who stutteringly said, "I am so sorry for the way that I treated you. I had no notion that... Clara only smiled a grin. What she said was, "It's okay. Everyone has times when they are ignorant about something. What is important is the way in which we use them." From that point on, everything was different. Clara became a well-liked figure in Willowbrook, and the laughs and whispering that had been going on around the town ceased. However, what is more significant is that she imparted a crucial lesson to the community, which is that genuine greatness is not about fitting in. Rather, it is about standing out. In the weeks that followed Clara's disclosure, Willowbrook went through a shift that was subtle but significant. The residents of the town, who had previously been so ready to condemn and make fun of others, started to see the world through a new lens. The very fact that Clara was there caused a chain reaction, questioning their preconceived notions and motivating people to acknowledge and celebrate their individuality. The neighborhood cafe, which was formerly a center for gossip and judgment, evolved into a place where vibrant conversation and inquiry were prevalent. In the past, women had made fun of Clara behind her back, but now they gladly welcomed her to join their tables and bombarded her with questions about the cosmos, her study, and her life. Clara, who was known for her graciousness, enthusiastically welcomed their inquiries. She not only did not hold their previous actions against them, but she also viewed it as a chance to connect with them and develop as individuals. Margaret, who considered herself to be the queen bee of Willowbrook's social scene, was responsible for one of the adjustments that was the most unexpected. After hearing the presentation, Margaret discovered that she had been profoundly humbled, despite the fact that she had been one of Clara's most caustic critics. At one point in the day, she approached Clara while holding a cup of tea as if it were a lifeline. "Clara, may I?" Margaret stutteringly said, "I don't even know where to begin," displaying just a fraction of the confidence that she normally has. "I was such a terrible person to you. Without knowing anything about you, I made a judgment on you, and I am very sorry about that." Clara gave Margaret a kind smile and motioned for her to take a seat. "I am grateful to you, Margaret, for expressing that. It takes a lot of bravery to acknowledge when we have done something wrong. However, let us not remain mired in the past. Tell me, what are you thinking about right now?" After a moment of hesitation, Margaret finally said, "I've always been so focused on appearances, on what people think of me. However, as I listen to you speak about the cosmos, its vastness, and the mysteries it holds, it opened my eyes to the fact that my concerns are rather little. I want to be more like yourself, assured, inquisitive, and not afraid to take risks and be myself." At the other end of the table, Clara reached out and gently squeezed Margaret's hand. "Margaret, you know that you are already who you are. All you need to do is allow that individual to shine. This shift that Margaret underwent was only the beginning. Following Clara's example, citizens of the community started to investigate their own personal hobbies and interests. When it was first established, the local book club's exclusive concentration was on light romance books. However, they have since expanded their reading to include science, philosophy, and poetry. Mr. Thompson, a science teacher at the high school, extended an invitation to Clara to speak to his pupils, which resulted in the kids developing a renewed interest in studying via the experience. The town's yearly festival, which had always been a predictable event, took on a new theme, celebrating uniqueness. This was a refreshing change from the norm. Daniel and Clara's relationship evolved in tandem with the transformation of the community. Clara had always been someone whom Daniel loved for who she was. But now, he felt an even stronger connection to her than he had before. He was awestruck by her capacity to forgive, to motivate, and to see the potential in every person she came in contact with. On a particular evening, Daniel looked at Clara with a contemplative expression on his face, while they were sitting on their veranda and admiring the stars. "I always knew you were special," he remarked. "You know, I always knew that. Nevertheless, seeing the way in which you have altered this community is like watching magic take place." Clara let out a little laugh. "No, Daniel, it is not a miracle. Simply that people are seeing that they do and have to confine themselves to a certain box. Indeed, the cosmos is just too vast for that." Daniel gave a little nod, his eyes wandering to the starry sky ahead. "Are you ever longing for it? You mean the laboratories, the lectures, and the praise?" For a few period, Clara remained still, her eyes mirroring the glimmering stars in the sky above her. She acknowledged, "There are times. But then I recalled the reason I had to go. I wanted to live a life that was entirely mine, one that was not governed by celebrity or expectations. It was here, with you, that I discovered it." The feeling of thankfulness that Daniel felt in his heart caused him to grasp for her hand. "It's a good thing that you did." While the citizens of Willowbrook were under the impression that they had unearthed all of Clara's secrets, another discovery rocked the hamlet to its very foundations. The Harper household was visited by a guy dressed in a fitted suit, who emerged from a slick black automobile that had parked up to the house one morning. Instantly attracting the attention of the neighbors, he carried a briefcase and had an aura of importance that was instantly noticeable. The guy identified himself as Agent Harris, who worked for a federal agency that was classified as top secret. His purpose was to have a conversation with Clara about a confidential project, which was a project that could only be led by someone of her high level. It was discovered that Clara's work in quantum physics had attracted the attention of a number of very influential individuals, and they need her knowledge in order to find a solution to an issue that had the potential to alter the path that history would take. Clara and Agent Harris were conversing in low tones on the porch, while the citizens of the town observed in fascination through their eyes. Following the departure of the agent, Clara turned to Daniel with a resolute expression on her face. "Who or what is it?" Daniel inquired the question, his interest piqued. The breath that Clara took was profound. "They have made a finding that is ... remarkable, a phenomena that has the potential to revolutionize energy production and provide a solution to the energy crisis that the world is now experiencing. However, this path is fraught with danger, and they need someone who is capable of navigating the complexity of quantum physics." The eyes of Daniel became wider. "Will you decide to carry it out?" While maintaining her stare, Clara grinned. "I just must. Larger than me, and larger than both of us. This is... However, I will need your assistance." Daniel did not waste any time. "Clara, you have always been able to do it?" "Constantly." When Clara made the choice to take on the project, it signaled the beginning of a new chapter, not just for her and Daniel, but also for Willowbrook as a whole. A society that recognized uniqueness and welcomed change had emerged from the town, which had previously been a site of judgment and narrow-mindedness until recently. The impact of Clara's influence had left an everlasting impression, demonstrating that genuine greatness does not lay in compliance, but rather in the bravery to be one's own self. Clara left the inhabitants of the town with one last piece of advice, as she was getting ready to start on her new trip. She said, "The universe is vast, and so are the possibilities that are within each of us. Have no fear and go ahead and investigate them. As a result, the lady who had been the subject of their ridicule evolved into the woman whom they adored, respected, and loved. It is not enough to say that Clara Harper was a bright scientist or an eccentric wife. She was also a ray of optimism, a reminder that the most amazing things can come in the most unexpected packaging. Also, what about Daniel? It was impossible for him to be more proud to be at her side, knowing that he had married not only a brilliant person, but also the woman he had spent his whole life with. Together, they prepared themselves to confront whatever the cosmos had in store for them, and they faced the unknown together.